Hi guys, I'm currently in Bangkok, Thailand, and something happened before I came here. I was sitting in the airport working on my laptop when I saw this old advertising portfolio I created a long time ago, and I had named it "This Will Get You to $10,000 a Month." And when I saw that, it made me feel so nostalgic because it brought me right back to the moment when I created it. And at the time, I was making maybe $2,000 a month. And $10,000 seemed like such a distant goal and in a way unattainable, but I still believe deep down I could do it. It's just that it just seemed like a really far away goal. And right now I'm way past that $10,000 a month goal, and I just thought that I should make a video in which I talk about what I believe helped me get there. So before we get into it, I just want to say that I think it was so much harder for me to go from zero to $10,000 per month than it was to go from 10 to 20 and beyond. And I think there are two reasons for that, and I'm going to get into it later on in this video. So I personally grew up with a very save everything kind of mentality. I was never the type of person to spend a lot of money. I don't really care about material things or anything like that. So I think when I first started earning money online, I kind of carried that same mindset over into the business. And so because I was making money for the first time, I was kind of trying to protect every single dollar I would make. I was reluctant to spend my money. And part of me was scared. I think I didn't truly believe that I would continue to make money with my business, or I just wasn't sure whether my business would fail at some point or whether it would keep making money or grow. So I treated the money I made like something that I had to protect. And I was not spending it on the business. I was not reinvesting. So I think one of the biggest mindset changes that I had to make was seeing spending money for the business as a positive thing and understanding that there's no way to grow. But in the beginning, I was doing everything by myself. So I was really reluctant to hire anyone. And I think for me to achieve that 10,000 goal, I really had to understand that there's only so much I can do by myself and that hiring someone is a good thing. In the beginning, instead of thinking, how can I use this money that I'm making to grow? I was thinking, what can I do to make sure I don't lose this money that I'm making? So when I first started hiring somebody, even though it was not a long-term commitment, it was just for one single task, I felt a bit uncomfortable because it felt like a risk to me. It felt like this is the money I worked so hard for, and now I'm spending it for a task. But what if it's not going to be worth it? What if I'm just wasting this money? So I really had to change the way I view reinvesting in the business. And once I started hiring people, I realized how much more I can get done. And since I do publishing, so I publish books, I was able to work on so many more projects at the same time, and that really allowed me to not only scale my business but also focus on other parts that are essential to growing, like marketing and advertising, everything. So I think that shift was probably one of the hardest but also one of the most important ones. And the second thing I realized is just how much hard work is really required to achieve that goal. So in my second month of self-publishing, I made $9,000, and that was just because it was Q4 and there was the Christmas season, so there were more sales on Amazon. But right after that, my sales started going down, and I think that initial success misled me to think that it would be much easier to get to $10,000 per month consistently, which wasn't the case. It took me probably 1 year to reach that level again and have it be consistent. So looking back, I think I underestimated how many more skills I had to learn and how much more experience I had to have for me to actually get there. So I remember that there were months in which I would wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. and work until I was exhausted, just work the entire day, and then wake up the next day and start from scratch. And that's what I would do for weeks. And even though I had people who were helping me at the time, I had writers, but I still had so many tasks that I was doing by myself. Like I was doing editing, proofreading, advertising, marketing, everything. So I think in those months I was publishing maybe 10 to 20 books per month. And as I said, I had writers who were helping me as well, but it was just a lot of work that was necessary, and it wouldn't have been possible to achieve that by just doing the bare minimum, I think. And now obviously I have more people I work with and I'm able to do so much more. But initially when you're just starting out, and I think this is the advice I would give myself, is whatever you think is required for you to achieve your goals, whatever income goal you have, you probably should double or triple the effort that you think is required, because we tend to underestimate how much effort we need to put in, especially when it comes to business. So that was definitely one of the things that helped me get there. There were so many times when my sales would drop, and every single time I had the tendency to just want to start something new. And I think that's partly because starting something new, whether that's a new project or focusing on a new niche or just trying to come up with a new thing to work on, it feels like progress, but it's just a distraction. So for me, whenever things got hard, whenever my sales were going down, I would always think, oh, which other books should I start working on? What other project can I start? It was always kind of this shortcut that I was looking for to get there. And I would always think this should come easier. Like I should be able to get to 10,000 per month easier. So maybe there's another book niche that would help me get there faster. When in fact, what I think is required is to just do more of what works. And this is connected with what I said in the beginning of this video, which is why I think it's so much harder to go from 0 to 10,000 than to scale from 10,000 and above. I think it's because it's so much harder to persist when things get hard. And things will get hard when you're starting out and when you're in between 0 and 10,000 for sure. And there are some things that you learn during that phase. And unless you keep persisting, you will not learn those things. So I think a lot of people tend to give up. So for me, what actually helped in those moments is I realized much later on, after failing obviously and trying different things many times, I realized that just going back and looking at what worked. So for me personally, that was looking at the books that had sold before and trying to reverse engineer from that and apply the things that learned to new books that were in the same niche and just do more of that. The reason why this was so difficult sometimes is because once I had committed to one single book niche, there were times when I was doing the work and I would not see any results for it. When I mentioned those months where I was working so much, I was actually not seeing any results. So it's not like I was publishing a book and then immediately I would see the sales. But I kind of forced myself to keep working because I had proof, and this is important. I don't think one should just blindly work on something and hope for the best. Like there needs to be some proof that your product will sell. But once you know that, it was important for me to not obsess over the sales. So I forced myself to just do the work instead of worrying so much about how much money I was making during that time. So that was also one of the important lessons I had to learn. And it took discipline because when sales go down, your confidence takes a hit and you start questioning yourself. You start second guessing what you're doing. You start wondering if you're doing the right thing. And I think that's what gives you this impulse to want to start something new. and to want to try a new thing, try a new project, or go into a different niche. But the thing is, you just have to fight that urge to immediately change direction, and you just have to stick with it. And eventually it will work out. And for me, it did work out. All that effort that I put into those books had amazing results later on. So I'm really glad that I stuck with it. And there were definitely other things that contributed to me getting to 10K per month consistently. But if I have to look back, these are probably the three big ones that made the difference. Right now, I scaled way beyond 10,000, and maybe one day I will make a video about where I'm at today. But my goal with my business is to get to $1 million per year. So if you're interested to follow my journey, please subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.